am the Irish guy, and lads, Premier League game week 13 was nuts. Right, let's go. Everton 0, Man United 3. All right, let's get this one out of the way then.
So we're back to this then. Thank you to the Premier League. Ah, not again.
Wow, what was that? Alejandro. Yeah, I know I sound like some meatball muffin doing Lady Gaga karaoke, but Garnacho, what was that? Listen, this was supposed to be a tense, scary afternoon. A ground picked with furiously angry scousers. I was almost half expecting a volcano of blue flare smoke, with their supporters demanding vengeance after being docked 10 points. But the Everton protest before enjoying the game, holding up anti-Premier League banners at the start. There was so much pink in the ground, I'd swear it was the Barbie premiere. I mean, what must the Everton players have thought, seeing all of that going on in the crowd? I mean, some would have been riled up for sure, but I mean, Calvert-Lewin probably just thought how well they'd go with his purse. But the atmosphere was flattened when Garnacho scores a stupendously stupid bicycle kick. I'm sorry, but that is the greatest bicycle kick in Premier League history. How conflicted must Wayne Rooney have felt watching this game at home on his couch? I mean, to be fair, I have no idea who we'd have wanted to win. On one hand, he's Man United's record goal scorer. On the other, he says he's got Everton pajamas? Was I the only one who assumed that he slept completely nude, snoring like a bear? On the couch, by the way, whilst his wife spoons a cardboard cutout of Johnny Depp. I mean, honestly, imagine sleeping next to that for 20 years. I'd rather sleep next to my uncle. Imagine watching his iconic bicycle kick against Man City, voted by many as the greatest ever Premier League goal. Imagine watching him see that entire memory now just cancelled and replaced by the scruffy kid from Argentina. He must have felt like Woody when he saw Buzz Lightyear on the bed. Who are we kidding? Maybe he wasn't even watching the game. For all we know, he could be on to season 4 of the Gilmore Girls while stroking his Judi Dench calendar. Lads, the goal was incredible, but what must Eric Ten Hag have thought of Garnacho doing the Ronaldo celebration? Honestly, he was suing so much, you'd swear he's one of the Winklevoss twins. I don't know, considering Ronaldo was effectively sacked for treason against his teammates and manager, slagging off his peers to peers, then it's a bit risky to then pay tribute to him on the pitch. It's a little bit weird. Like Hollywood bad boy Shia LaBeouf getting fired from Transformers, and then if his castmates come into work the next morning and screamed, "Just do it!" in the director's face. Honestly, Ten Hag seems to have morphed from being Mr. Breaking Bad to Mr. Peaky Blinders in the crowd, but yeah, he'd have been a little bit miffed. Listen, Everton played well in the first half, they had their chances, but 3-0 is a horrible scoreline. Ashley Young messed up yet again, giving away a stupid penalty. Marcus Rashford slapped the top bins, even Anthony Martial scored. For Everton, I am worried for them. For them to not go down, they need to effectively gain enough points that would have seen them safe by 11 points in normal circumstances. I would worry. At this point, I might as well just sit underneath a cow for every vid. Newcastle 4, Chelsea 1. Since Anthony Gordon has been largely forgotten about Gareth Southgate, not sure why. Maybe the England boss simply has a phobia for gingers who try to cover it up with Barbie blonde. Maybe he took one look at Anthony sitting in the salon with a blow dryer on his head and thought better for calling him up. Well lads, Gordon has Irish and Scottish heritage. Those are two nations who'll probably be fighting over his passport if he keeps getting snubbed. But I'm sorry, judging by his performance on Saturday afternoon, he's not English. He's not Scottish. He's the Irish guy. Considering how he made James look terrible. Sorry, that was a joke. James was great, okay? He's in the England squad. Lads, this afternoon was all about Lewis Miley, who played the full 90 minutes in midfield. I'm sorry, but he was a joke. I knew this guy was a Raw Academy graduate, but 17 years old, 17 years of age. I'm sorry, okay, I promise. Honestly, I had no idea how young that boy was. No, I'm not protesting my innocence to Holly Willoughby and the ITV crew. No, I am being serious. Miley, 17 years old. And by the way, a young 17. He doesn't turn 18 until May. It's ridiculous. To put it in context, forget all about Alan Shearer being his king growing up, like most Geordie boys. No, this kid is too young to even probably remember Demba Ba. This fella's childhood hero was probably Dwight Gale. He'd probably get starstruck bumping into John Joe Shelby down the local cinema. There's a kid who's legally not allowed to drink beer or watch any Tarantino film, as there's been more seasons of Grey's Anatomy than this boy's had years of life. Lads, when Steve Bruce took the Newcastle job, Miley had just turned 13 and probably had a crush on the Princess of Frozen and was probably subscribed to Newcastle Fans TV. When Rafa Benitez took the gig before Bruce, which again only feels like 5 minutes ago, Miley was 9 years old. And if he was anything like me, was still wetting the bed, sucking his thumb and complaining that his grandma's breast milk tasted like undercooked tea. There's a little boy who probably still has Sidemen posters on his wall. His childhood film wasn't Toy Story or Shrek. No, it was probably the Lego Movie or the sequel to Monsters Inc. It's mental. And here he was, chalking up an assist after 13 minutes, playing the ball through for Alexander Isak to bury. And yeah, mostly dominated a £100 million midfielder. It's insane. Imagine even 2 years ago, if you were told Eddie Howe decided to play Miley, you'd assume that he'd been sacked, turned into a part-time DJ at teen discos, and was about to cause everyone deafening earache as they listened to some wench screaming, "Wrecking ball!" But no, Lewis was class. Lads, you wouldn't believe it from the scoreline, but Newcastle were still in an injury crisis. I mean, the fact that 30-year-old Jamal Lascelles is getting on the score sheet just weeks after having a 1 a.m. scrap outside a pub tells you everything you need to know. Newcastle had such few players available. They actually named 3 goalies on the bench. I'm sure Mark Gillespie could literally have ordered a Chinese takeaway to that bench, because again, he would have needed Pope, Dubravka, and Karius to all have their eyeballs pecked out by an angry bird before Howe would be asking him to warm up. But as Newcastle finished the game with Paul Dummett, Matt Ritchie, Amadou Diallo, Alex Murphy, and Michael Muderi. I didn't have a clue who the last one was. That is embarrassing for Pochettino. Newcastle view Chelsea as such a non-threat in the closing 10 minutes that they can afford to just spend it debuting children. It's mad. It's like going on a family road trip to Wigan, and then at the last hurdle, letting your 9-year-old park the car. That's Alex Murphy is a 19-year-old defender and was signed off the back of 30-odd games for Galway United. And now here he is playing Premier League football. He's living out my dream. And so Alex, I am now speaking directly to you. I am insanely jealous of you, and I might just track you down in Newcastle and do a poo underneath your Christmas tree. I mean, no, let's say something less weird. Well done? Lads, there's now so many Murphys at this club, you'd swear it was a Boston prison cell. Lads, Newcastle were great, but Chelsea were soft. Thiago Silva had an afternoon from hell, and to be honest, should just retire. This man is nearly 40. It's not fair for Chelsea to keep wheeling him out on the pitch. It's been like the producers of The Simpsons continuing to ask Julie Kavanagh to still voice Marge. Yeah, she's nearly 80, and her Marge impression now after 30-odd seasons, she makes her sound like a chain-smoking chimp. Seeing a Brazilian legend like Silva getting absolutely embarrassed like this, it reminds me of Anderson Silva getting beaten up by Jake Paul. Come on, Thiago, just retire. I thought Chelsea were dreadful in the second half. First half, not so bad. Although, strangely, Raheem Sterling scored his second ever free kick. Right, so this is a senior player in the squad who is clearly scared of taking easy penalties, but sure, will demand to take effort 30 yards from goal. It's because the pressure was off and nobody expected him to score. It's been like a doctor who will happily try and diagnose whether Tutankhamun was sick before he died. What I mean, if someone starts choking on lasagna in the restaurant, oh no, he's keeping his hand by his side and continuing to just slurp his soup. This wasn't even the worst defeat Pochettino has had at this ground. He's probably still traumatized by the time he forfeited second place with Spurs, when he was battered 5-1 here by an already relegated team. Honestly, Pochettino sorted out, because that whole afternoon was dreadful. Oh, and by the way, I know he cost £70 million more, but if there was any debate about who was better, no, Bruno Guimaraes is levels above Enzo Fernandez. Oh, by the way, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button, trying to get to 182,000. If we can do that today, I will chuck a glass of orange juice in my face. You lucky dogs. Brentford 0, Arsenal 1. Okay, I'm sorry. I hate to be that guy, but this whole Aaron Ramsdale soap opera has to stop. Look, this was a hard fought, last minute Gunners win, but on the full-time whistle for all the Arsenal team to queue up to give Ramsdale a hug, I am sorry, what? Unless the poor man had to watch his dog being run over on the way to work, unless he found out that his parents are getting a divorce, then that should not have been the case. This was an occasion where Ramsdale was given a rare start because, yeah, David Raya was ineligible to play against his parent club, and the England goalkeeper looked beyond nervous. He nearly gave Brentford a first half goal by forgetting how to kick the ball. I said Declan Rice would score an own goal in this game. No, he rescued the day by clearing the ball off the line. Ramsdale seems to be a nervous wreck, but hugs all round, I guess, as if this was an episode of Sesame Street. Absolutely not. I'm sorry, but back when Tim Howard and Roy Carroll were fighting it out for the Man United #1 shirt, to a point where they were both so nervous that Carroll once conceded a goal against Tottenham from over 70 yards away. I mean, he got away with it. The linesman couldn't see that it clearly crossed the line, and he survived with a clean sheet. What I mean, does anyone remember Roy Keane coming over to give him a kiss? No! But listen, great win. Kai Havertz pops up to score a last gasp header, and then ruins his cool image by celebrating like this. I'm sorry, what's he doing? Is that a donkey celebration? Yeah, I mean, clearly he loves touching them on Instagram, and strangely, actually has a baby one at a sanctuary in Devon named after him, but this is a bit weird. This is your moment. Your match of the day moment, where you get to prove everybody wrong, and you choose to imitate Eddie Murphy from Shrek. It would have been a bit like if I had won at the Football Content Awards last week and chosen to go up on stage and moon the audience. Yeah, I think Billy Wingrove might just have phoned the police. Maybe I'm too much of a Grinch. The kid loves donkeys, I'll let him be. What is amazing though, is that this was Mikel Arteta's 200th game in charge of Arsenal. Whoever saw that coming? Lads, not a single Chelsea manager has ever had 200 games in one spell at Stamford Bridge. Not since the 80s. I mean, Claudio Ranieri was sacked after game 199. That's just mean. The last guy who did it was John Neal in 1985. Fair play, Mikel. Burnley 1, West Ham 2. Play the clip!
Burnley 1, West Ham 2. And yeah, this is going to be an afternoon of pain. 2-1 West Ham win, with Jared Bowen netting twice at the end.
Yes, 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 yes! There is my perfect prediction, so no! I don't have to do all this in a bin. Not this week. I survive again. Lads, how am I getting a perfect prediction every single week? But I'd imagine Burnley fans are fed up. By now, I would compare them to a teenage loner who hates everyone because right now, they don't want company anymore. Lads, I admire the Belgian for trying to make Burnley pretty, but it clearly doesn't work. Not in the Premier League. Some clubs have a certain DNA. I mean, Swansea City will always play with the ball on the deck. Always. And Stoke City will never truly be able to shake that tag of being a direct ugly brute. And Burnley, I mean, they tried, okay? It works in the Championship, but in the Premier League, trying to play like Barcelona again, it would be like watching Piers Morgan trying to exercise at the gym with some beefcake personal trainer yelling at him to get a six-pack by March. There is more chance of him growing double ears and flying to the moon. He's a potato. Fine. That's his identity. Cool. Lads, Turf Moor was always a fortress for Burnley in the Premier League. Even the 3 seasons when I saw them relegated. In those nightmare years, they still pulled off scalps at home. That's an ugly sentence. I'm making them sound like a jigsaw copycat. But yeah, in those 3 seasons, when they went down in 2010, 2015, and 2022, they still beat Man United, Everton, Sunderland, Birmingham, Hull, West Ham, Tottenham, Hull again, Southampton, QPR, Man City, Brentford, Tottenham again, Everton again, Southampton again, and Wolves. 16 home wins across those 3 miserable seasons. But so far, they haven't even won a point at home. Turf Moor is now about as scary as an 8-year-old's birthday party. Here they were, 5 minutes away from a win. Lucas Koleosho had ripped West Ham to bits, but then a Dara O'Shea own goal and a Thomas Tuchel winner. Heartbreak. But don't sack company. I know it's ludicrous to say keep him considering they're bottom of the league and they won't survive. But, I mean, do you want to end up like Norwich? This Burnley squad are already going down. They cannot be saved. 2 years ago, Norwich City binned off Daniel Farke in November, waving goodbye to saucy, free-flowing football, which, yeah, is devastating in the Championship. They went more direct by hiring Dean Smith and were then even worse. They went down with an uglier identity than the one they came up with. They finished halfway down the Championship. He was fired. In comes David Wagner, the creepy Klopp clone. And again, while Farke is banging on the door of promotion with Leeds, Norwich are still rotting in 13th. Promoted clubs have to be careful. They don't want to get them back down to the Championship as a worse team to the one that went up. Burnley, this is a club who stuck with Dicer and he took you down in 2015. Company as a young manager. Let him make his mistakes. Let him slowly realize that he needs a plan B and much better scouts. I mean, what's the alternative? You suddenly beg Frank Lampard or Chris Wilder to rescue you? Stick with company. Trust me. Sheffield United won, Bournemouth 3. Well, look at what happened here. Lads, I'm going to be insufferable. 4 weeks. The English press tried to tell everyone that Andoni Iraola was a Spanish fraud, that he had tactics made of cheese, that he should have been chucked on a Ryanair flight and sent back to where he came from. Yeah. 3 wins in 4 Premier League games. And this was the most Iraola game so far. The cherries absolutely ripped through the blades. I mean, isn't it supposed to be the other way round if you're trying to make a pie? But yeah, they had 23 efforts at goal. 11 on target to Sheffield's 2. Marcus Tavernier could have had a hat-trick. Justin Kluivert became only the 2nd player to score in all 5 European major leagues in this century, which is actually really impressive. I mean, sure, Sheffield goalie Wes Fotheringham laid it on a plate for him by literally tripping over the ball. Honestly, if a goalkeeper did that at under 9s level, their daddy would probably refuse to let him have that pizza he bought for the ride home. He'd probably be forced to spend the night sleeping in a shoebox at the foot of the stairs. But still, Kluivert scores. Patrick Kluivert Jr.'s son has really scored in the Premier League, La Liga, Serie A, Liga 1, and the Bundesliga before his 25th birthday. That's pretty wow. But lads, yeah, Iraola, absolutely superb coach, and it's finally all clicking. This is Iraola ball. But yeah, Paul Heckingbottom needs to be sacked immediately. No, this isn't like the company situation. There's no vision, no potential, no promise. He is just a pretty useless boss. As yeah, the risk is sounding like a frustrated Anthony Joshua fanboy, but give them Wilder. Give them Wilder now! Luton Town 2, Crystal Palace 1. I should be happy for Luton Town getting a Premier League home win at last. And yes, watching Ireland superstar Chiduzzi Benny expertly teeing up Jacob Brown for the dramatic winner. Great. But Luton winning means they have single-handedly guaranteed that I am spending the next 2 weeks at least drenched in milk. Look, I knew Luton would win because Crystal Palace are a sleepy football club on pause. All they are doing by having old man Roy Hodgson babysitting this squad, in between probably having his breakfast spoon-fed to him by a nurse, all Steve Parish is doing is buying time so he can pounce as a big-day manager when he gets fired from a massive club. Honestly, he's probably waiting for a shock sack in Europe this season. He probably goes to bed crossing his fingers every single night that Lazio will bin off Mauricio Sarri, or that Emmanuel Aguafil will quit Real Sociedad. Even getting Rafa Benitez in from a Celta Vigo nightmare would still look more ambitious than persisting with someone who looks like he struggles to remember what planet he lives on. I'm sorry, I respect Roy, he's had a great career, but the poor bloke should be at home watching 101 Dalmatians with his grandkids. Actually, no, scrap that, because he's so old that even his grandkids are now fully grown adults who work in the bank. Tottenham won Aston Villa 2. Play the clip.
Tottenham 1, Aston Villa 2. I think we're going to see an Emery masterclass. Sure, Son Heung-min will give Spurs an early lead, but I just see a quick-fire Ollie Watkins double to completely turn the game on its head, and Ange Postecoglou is suddenly going to look absolutely miserable.
Amazing. Lads, this weekend, it's fitting that I predicted both these scorelines because I've only gone and got 2-1s right. That's a clever pun. I said Tottenham would go 1-0 up and that Villa would come back, that Watkins would score the winner, and Postecoglou would look miserable. Yeah, he does look a bit like if James Corden was told he's having broccoli soup for tea. This game went pretty much exactly how I thought. But of course, Tottenham, without their star quality magic in James Maddison in midfield, they really are an ordinary team. Both Giovanni Lo Celso and Brian Gill came into the starting lineup, two unwanted cast-offs who've been banished to La Liga last season, asking them to come back now and fight for the badge when they've been emotionally uninvolved with Spurs for so long now. It's a bit of a strange thing to ask. A bit like a woman asking her ex-boyfriend to come back and babysit her dog. Don't get me wrong, Villa were brilliant, but we're beginning to see the Spurs have the squad depth of a Terry's chocolate orange. I mean, come on, what sort of symmetrical fluid system are you expecting to have when your defense exclusively consists of 4 full backs? Son Heung-min is not a natural number 9. The bench looked about as intimidating as Paul Rudd wearing a skirt. I mean, Donnelly and Dorrington. They sound like the names of extras from a Pirates of the Caribbean film. Nottingham Forest 2, Brighton 3. Evan Ferguson is an absolute king and will emerge as the greatest Irish centre forward of all time. But also, I'm saying this now, okay, because everybody seems to think that Nottingham Forest are safe. No, I'm saying this now, in November. I have not ignored the 1 win in 9 games. Steve Cooper is getting sacked, and Forest are going down. Man City 1, Liverpool 1. Lads, this is a match all about Alexander Arnold. This man has been living trend-free in people's heads for years, and I will talk about him at length in a video later this week. But it's weird. I thought both he and Jeremy Doku played well, which is weird to say when they were marking each other. It's been like when Ashley Cole used to play against Ronaldo. They both came off the pitch, I mean, played really well. But listen, this wasn't the greatest game it could have been. Why do I get the feeling that if this was a Sunday 4:30 p.m. kickoff under the lights, instead of 12:30 on a Saturday morning, it would have been a much better atmosphere. Honestly, everyone was so sleepy in that Etihad. Nobody made a peep. Alexander Arnold scored an equalizer and then shushed everyone. What? That arena was already like the Quiet Place 2. But listen, this result just didn't do that much, but it keeps the title race alive. Anyway, that's what do you think? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give a like, as always. I'll talk to you in a while.